Over 30% increase in sales month over month for townhomes. This is insane. The detached market actually fell month over month. So townhomes are quietly becoming the tightest segment in the market overall, and townhome sellers are still holding the edge while the rest of the market is so slow. So despite modest sales overall, the attached homes are the only property type nearing seller market conditions. What is actually creating this imbalance? So in this breakdown, I'm going to go over sales activity, inventory trends, benchmark price changes, buyer behavior to help you understand is now the right time to act in the attached portion of the market. This is your attached market update, March 2025. Let's get into it. The first section, we're going to look at sales and inventory trends. We're going to look at year over year, so the macro numbers, and then the micro numbers month over month, starting with sales year over year. So attached home sales in March 2025 totaled 472 sales. This is a 4.6% decrease from 495 in March 2024. This year-over-year dip in sales suggests a mild cool down in buyer activity, but it's far less dramatic than in other property types. And then despite fewer sales, attached homes remain one of the more stable segments, especially in suburban areas where townhomes are in really high demand. So now let's look at sales month over month. As you saw in the intro, these numbers are wild. Almost 31.5% increase from 359 sales, February 2025, all the way up to 472 sales in March 2025. This sharp month over month change really is a huge change in sales month over month, shows strong seasonal momentum heading into the spring, and this rebound may reflect pent-up demand from January and February and could indicate a really competitive market if you're a townhome buyer moving forward. Now, looking at sales doesn't mean much unless we're also looking at the inventory, so supply and demand. So first, let's look at listings year over year. Active listings have increased 39.3% year over year to 2,200 active townhome listings in Greater Vancouver this month, March 2025. A huge increase like this signals significant shift in seller sentiment. We're seeing way more listings year over year, mainly because of the pent-up listing demand. So a lot of sellers were actually holding off on selling their home last year while interest rates were high and buyers weren't really active in the market. So right now they're listing because of the stability they're seeing in the market, the lower interest rates, and sellers right now are anticipating higher demand. Buyers right now have way more choice than at any point in the past 2 years, creating tons of room for negotiations and allowing buyers to actually shop around. So in February 2025, there were 1,945 active listings. This is a 13.1% increase to the 2,200 listings there are this month. So we're definitely seeing more sellers enter the market, testing the market as the spring approaches. They're definitely hoping to capture some buyer activity moving into the spring, but we are definitely seeing in a big way the sales outpacing the listings for townhomes, the attached market. This is definitely a strong indicator that demand is picking up for this market segment. And while options are increasing, the amount of buyer demand is really going to absorb up the current supply, which is a good sign for market stability, but may not be the best sign if you're a buyer looking for a good deal for a townhome in the market. I'll get into this more at the end when I go through my conclusions and recommendations, but for now, let's look at Section 2, pricing trends, how prices are actually moving. So first of all, year over year change in benchmark price. For attached homes in March 2025, the benchmark price was $1,113,000. This is a 0.8% decrease from March 2024. Year over year, we haven't seen much change in pricing. Although we did see a very, very slight market correction in previous months, we are still seeing the price stability that has been consistent for the past 12 months, which is really impressive considering the current market conditions. So welcome news if you're a buyer trying to enter the market, but prices remain elevated by historical standards. But looking at the month over month change, what is really going on for pricing right now in the current market for townhomes? We saw a slight increase, 0.2% from $1,110,000 in February 2025. So about a $3,000 difference, very, very small, showing stable pricing. This small uptick in benchmark price suggests prices are leveling off rather than falling. We're also seeing sellers hold firm on their prices. And with this recent uptick in number of sales month over month, I can definitely see why. It's hard to tell unless you're active in the market, but if sellers are receiving inquiries, they're getting people to view their homes, they're more likely to stay firm on the price, which may be why we're not seeing much change month over month. Now let's look at the sales to active ratio, determine whether we're in a buyer's market, a balanced market, or a seller's market. And this huge uptick in sales has definitely pushed the attached market into a seller's market. The sales ratio for attached homes is 21.5%. This is up from 20.3% in February. The threshold for a seller's market is anything over 20%. And month over month, we're getting deeper into that seller's market territory. This is the only property type in a seller's market right now. This means that the property type with the most active buyers and the property type that's seeing the most competition is this one, the attached market, which is mainly comprised of townhomes and half duplexes. If this market holds through April, we can expect quicker sales and fewer price negotiations. And especially moving into the spring market where historically there is way more activity, we'll likely see way more action in the attached market. So yes, expect attached homes right now to sell faster than detached homes or apartments in many areas. This benefits sellers the most, but buyers with pre-approvals and strong offers can still win deals. We are just starting to get into that seller's market territory, and the sales ratio indicates that there's still a lot of room to go to get into that aggressive seller's market where you are seeing multiple offers, buyers are stepping over each other to get into these homes. We're starting to see upward pressure on prices, and days on market start to drop off really quickly. All right, section 3, key market drivers. What is influencing supply and demand? So first of all, who is buying right now in the townhome market? We are seeing families, upsizers, and first-time buyers. This is the demographic, the type of buyer that is really driving up demand due to affordability and space compared to detached homes. So right now, townhomes offer a sweet spot for buyers priced out of the detached market, especially those needing 3 or more bedrooms. Suburban townhome demand is especially strong, mainly because of price point, but areas like Coquitlam, Maple Ridge, and Richmond seeing a lot of buyer demand. We've also seen that price gap between a condo and a townhome start to shrink. So a lot of condo owners are upsizing to get into the townhome market because they're seeing a really good opportunity right now. And with the slower market, we're also seeing a lot of first-time buyers jump straight into the townhome market, skipping a condo completely, especially young families that need the space for themselves. So who is selling right now? Again, upsizers. In a slower market, we're going to see a lot of upsizers very active. We're seeing a lot of investors and then a lot of developers. For upsizers, the same reason someone who owns a condo wants to upsize into a townhome and purchase one is the same reason someone would sell their townhome and move up into a detached home. That gap in pricing is starting to shrink right now. Especially the detached market is extremely soft, and with the attached market being a little bit strong, that gap is going to be even narrower. We may be getting to a point where it's as close as it has been in a very long time. This is a great opportunity for upsizers who own a townhome to sell their townhome while the market is pretty active in their property type and get into a detached home, which is much slower. We're actually seeing detached homes in the detached market segment get deeper into a buyer's market, meaning you're seeing way bigger discounts on the more expensive property type and still decent and moderate sales on your townhome. We're also seeing a lot of brand new townhomes come to market. A lot of land assemblies that have taken place over the past 2 to 3 years. We're seeing a lot of developers lean towards vertical townhomes, which was really popular at the time. And now we're completing and coming to market. So now let's look at interest rates and financing. So we have seen around 6 to 8 consecutive rate cuts, and we're expecting more rate cuts in the spring as early as mid-April. Lower rates make attached homes more affordable than during the 2022 peak, which makes right now a smart time to buy before potential demand drives prices up again. And we are seeing demand start to increase. Prices have not yet followed, but if this keeps up, it is just a matter of time. We may be at the bottom of the attached market as we speak. Again, we won't know until prices start going up, but looking at the increase in sales month over month, there's a good chance that we have bottomed out right now. And now external factors. So strata insurance hikes and rising maintenance fees may affect affordability, but demand still remains strong. We've seen some construction slowdown, some permit delays limiting new supply, which will definitely keep some upward pressure on prices in the long term. Local zoning changes could shift townhome development over the next few years if more developers plan to build higher density or opt for something easier to build like a duplex, a quadplex, triplex, something with a laneway. And then there are a ton of other factors like the tariffs, the federal elections, economic uncertainty. It does not seem to be affecting the buyers in the attached segment of the market on paper, but it definitely has an effect on the market sentiment overall. So now conclusions, recommendations, and market outlook. So for buyers, prices right now are stable, interest rates are favorable, and inventory is rising. But above everything, the month-over-month change in sales up over 30% is insane, especially compared to the rest of the market right now. This could be your opportunity. Be proactive. Competition is strongest in this segment, especially for family-friendly layouts. So if you're trying to get into a townhome like that, time may be working against you. I would suggest moving quickly. Move now if you're targeting quality homes in good neighborhoods before demand peaks. So definitely get approved, have your financing ready, and submit strong offers on homes that fit your needs. Target listings that have sat on the market for a little bit longer because you may have negotiating room there. Now for sellers, you're in the strongest segment, so capitalize on that while conditions remain in your favor. Here in the Vancouver market, things can switch on a dime. Right now, you have a lot of active buyers in your segment, so make the most of it. Well-priced and well-marketed homes are selling fast, especially in desirable neighborhoods. Use this current imbalance to your advantage before more listings come online late April, especially if you're planning to upsize. Because this market segment is busy, you'll probably get a good price. The detached market segment is so slow, so you'll get a massive discount on that end, meaning you'll net the difference. So if you're a seller, don't overprice. Buyers are informed, they still have options, and keep an eye out for market shifts. And then market outlook on the short term, very favorable for sellers, especially relative to the rest of the market. Demand may intensify as the spring progresses, but time will tell. Historically, the spring market is busier, so be ready for that. In the mid to long term, continued demand for family-oriented homes with moderate appreciation is expected if rates begin to fall even further. Townhomes here in Greater Vancouver will always be one of the most desirable options for young families who can't afford getting into a detached home. So purchasing a townhome in a really desirable neighborhood with good schools, a good layout, a family-friendly community will ensure you're making a good investment in the long term. With competition heating up on townhomes, right now may be the smartest move for both buyers and sellers. This market update is crazy compared to what we're seeing in the detached market and also condos and apartments. I've done market update videos on those, so be sure to check them out, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.